Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of the Village of Lytton on January 13th, 2026. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone to please turn off your videos, mute your microphones to allow council to begin the proceedings. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and broadcasted on the Village of Lytton YouTube channel. If you wish to view this meeting or access a video recording of a past meeting, you can visit the Village YouTube channel and watch it there. Thank you, Your Worship. You may call the meeting to order.
Thank you. I call this regular council meeting of January 13th to order at 7:02 p.m. We'll begin by acknowledging that we're gathering on the unceded traditional ancestral territory of the Forgotten people. All right, so we need a motion, please, to adopt tonight's agenda. Councillor Lightfoot and a seconder, Councillor Toss. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to adoption of minutes of the regular council meeting of December the 9th. Thank you, Councillor McCann, seconder. Also, Councillor Michelle. Were there any errors or omissions? Yeah, all those in favor? Carried. And the minutes of the special council meeting that was held on December the 17th. And to adopt the minutes, Councillor Lightfoot, seconder, Councillor Toss. Were there any errors or omissions there? All those in favor? Carried. All right, this is moving right on to public comment. And I'm going to turn it back over to Corporate Officer Storoshenko.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we now invite members of the public to provide comments on items related to tonight's agenda. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function feature on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on React at the bottom of your screen and then select raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name, ask you to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, provide your address, and indicate the agenda item number you're speaking to. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. I'll call for a second time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. It's showing nobody online. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak at Parish Hall? No, there is not. So that concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. So back to you, Your Worship.
Okay, so we'll move right on to item number 7, which is staff reports. And we have CFO Mom Burkett online. And we have our budget coming up. So, CAO Mom Burkett.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. Good evening, everyone. This is our first sort of official report on the budget for this year. So we have had some preliminary discussions, just starting to talk about some of the financial, I won't say challenges, financial issues that we might have coming up towards us. But this is our timeline for the annual process for 2026. So we typically look at this around this time of year. It's just an information report, so council can start to think about what's coming up. The first item on the actual timeline is a first draft of the annual plans and budgets that the internal departments prepare and provide to me. So that was due last week. So I have all of those now. The first thing that will come to council will be the first meeting in February. We'll have a budget direction report that will be on the agenda for that meeting. And then following that, at the next meeting 2 weeks later, we'll have a first draft of the 2026 5-year financial plan. So this includes, the budget for 2026 and then forecasts for the next 4 years. We will have our public budget input session the following evening, in person and online. And then we'll have a approximately 2-week period where the public will be invited to provide comments or ask questions on an online format. So that goes from February 25th till March the 14th. In the meantime, we will have a preliminary tax rates discussion at the council table. That's, again, mostly for information. And then following the online consultation period, we will take any feedback that is received and bring that back to council with draft number 2 of the 5-year financial plan. And then we start to get into the sort of the official stuff, the actual readings of the bylaws. As you know, we need to adopt the 5-year financial plan prior to adopting the tax rate bylaw. The tax rate bylaw must be adopted before May the 15th. So we have it scheduled right now to be adopted at the regular council meeting on May the 12th. So it's possible these times will change, but not likely. This is around the same timeline that we've used the last couple of years, and we've been able to meet it. So that will be our intention.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from council? Okay, so we're looking to have a motion to accept this report.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Michelle. Seconder, Councillor Lightfoot. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. That will, I appreciate, I know we all appreciate the timeline and having those dates in front of us well ahead of time. So that's great. All right, so we move on to Developmental Services Activity Report, and I believe we have Carolyn online.
Good evening. I won't repeat too much is in the report, but happy to answer any of your questions specific. Building inquiries and permits, as I mentioned, there was a slowdown in December because of the holidays, we're assuming, and things have picked back up. So that's exciting with some commercial properties, as well as BC Wildfire Service with the base camp at the airport, and the grocery store. So some inquiries. So that's exciting. Planning and planning inquiries, that's sort of all in the same. They're all together. Planning development initiatives. I'll just touch on the official community plan update and the workbook, a little promo for that. They're sort of dribbling in, but I think if anyone has any idea to sort of expand the reach, we are going into the communities. Well, Henny Jones will be. And then we also welcome any opportunities to meet with people if they want some assistance. It's pretty straightforward. It just takes about 20 minutes. And it really is sort of adjusting where the community has been and where it wants to go. Economic development, we're plugging away on quite a few things. Housing, January 23rd is the deadline for the RFP, and I think we're going to get about 20, given the number. We already have 2. So, and really interesting and exciting, actually. And then the last is I'm getting a little assistance since Urban Options is no longer providing their services. We have been or will be hiring the planning assistant probably tomorrow morning. So yeah, so that's pretty much where we are. And then as far as the activity report, please, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any comments, questions? Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I have a few. As far as the grocery store is concerned, what would the involvement with Red Cross be at this point? My understanding is that we're in the final throes. That's the first part. And the second part, is there any, it's rumored that there might be an issue with having to have their building permit reissued because it has been so long since they initially applied. Maybe you could help me understand that.
Yep. So the Red Cross was an inquiry actually made in the late summer, and they finally got back to me with the recovery director, and I've since passed that name on to Jack Kehoe, and he's following up. So that was just whether there was any more funding, and it might be good to have an update from Red Cross because I don't want to get into too much just generally with them, but I had understood that when there was no more need, the money allocated to Lytton disappeared, and that's not the case. So it's something that I was following up generally as well, but also because the grocery store is so unique with food security, but also a business. And then the other one is the building permit reissued. I have sent that off to the building department. I suspect they're super busy because it usually doesn't take that long. I think I got the inquiry on Thursday from their architects. And previously, Lynn Berlin had provided sort of direction, which I think they have, but we'll just get it from the TNRD. And I will be seeing Tony tomorrow, the building inspector, and we'll follow up with him and get back to them as soon as we can. building permits just expire. That's the reality. So you just have to work it to see how we deal with that to make sure they're meeting all our requirements.
I think it was a budget consideration was what I understood with them, like they didn't want to pay again.
Oh
for-
yeah, yeah. No, I don't think we're going to make them pay double.
Okay, that's wonderful
If
news.
they, yeah.
Another question, if I may?
Sure.
The Pacific Can for the village office. It's also my understanding that when we were designing the office, it was with the net zero, like the within the parameters for Pacific Can. So is it just a matter now of filling out the application, or have they not been working with us the whole time? Excuse my ignorance. I'm surprised to see it.
And
come up now.
I'll let CAO member Kat, there's a point where you need the drawings to be a certain level. So I didn't want to start and stop and start and stop. So this is really, I talked
Sage.
to CAO yesterday, just about where we are. And so we're very close. It's as I understand, some of you may know, it's like 80 pages. So I'm
Oh, yeah. I
psyching
heard
myself
400.
up a little bit to do it. But I think it will be a good exercise for me to do regardless, just to understand what the community is going through.
And one last question on
Okay.
this one, I promise. And this is more around the planning assistant. And I'm wondering if any consideration with the conversations that have been occurring behind the scenes with the Chamber of Commerce, offering to do a fee for service type arrangement to support with ECDEV and some of the things they're already doing unpaid. Has that been considered formally? And if not, could I put that forward?
I'll just clarify, it was fairly important. This focus is more on the planning and development. So the OCP, and actually I've got a list of things right now. We've got so much to do in the next year, and every month is key. And for example, the RFP for the housing, who's going to evaluate those? Who does all of that? The food truck is still sitting there. I need someone to help me with that. So it is more someone with a planning background. It's less related to ECDEV, but I know again in discussions with CAO, we were looking at how chambers work in the province with fee for service. Certainly, that's my experience in other municipalities I worked with. So I don't know if the CAO member Kit wants to speak to that.
Yeah, and
further.
I'll speak to that as well. Like they've never formally approached, and I don't know that you would be the one to do that. I think that if it's something they were interested in, the chamber would come to the.
I'm just like a liaison, so I.
Yes, right. You're just the liaison, though. You're not a.
I have been privy to what's been discussed.
Yeah,
So
but you're the liaison, not the
Sure.
chamber, right?
But I am under the understanding there was a formal meeting between, not formal in so much as minutes were taken, but there was a meeting between the chamber and yourself and Councillor McCann.
Yeah, we've had discussions, but there's been no formal.
Will you be sharing those discussions with the rest of council?
I'll think about that. Yeah. Councillor.
Just for my education, so if there was a position that the chamber thought that they had the expertise to involve themselves with, then the chamber could avail themselves of that opportunity and just apply. There's nothing to prevent them from doing that, is there?
No.
Are you asking me?
Absolutely not. No,
Okay.
no,
Well,
it could have been,
CAO
it could have
member,
been a
yeah,
person,
yeah.
or it could have been an individual, it could have been a firm, it could have been a company. The positions are, when we post positions, we're not specific about how they get filled. So yeah, anybody who who can fulfill the requirements that we listed in the job posting would be free to apply for sure.
Thank you.
And I apologize, but when I say I'll think about it, I mean, I have to understand, because I don't believe it's public information that was discussed. And so,
All right.
Okay.
And I will just
Yeah.
conclude that conversation about the planning and the ECDAV being a little bit separate. So in terms of the ECDAV, I do feel very strongly that a local entity would be better served to support the village, and the chamber's in a really good position for that. And I was, just to be on the record as saying, I was a bit disappointed to see that position listed as potentially being a remote position, as I was hoping that we were moving towards trying to hire staff within the village, or at least local, and
Yeah,
and
and I-
maybe even prefer that prioritize a local person or a local entity.
yeah, and I think discussions around staff should be enclosed, shouldn't be in a public meeting.
Well, that's what we're discussing.
No, we're discussing the report that's brought forward, so.
Well, the report includes a planning assistant, so,
Okay,
okay, thank you.
are there any other comments on Carolyn's report? Okay, so we do need a motion to accept her report for information. Councillor Lightfoot, second toss, all those in favor, and carried. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 3, 7.3, Public Works. And I'm not sure if Diane is speaking to this or Daryl. There's Daryl.
Daryl's going to. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, hello, good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Back on May 13th, Council last year, we did our council approval for the sewer grant allocation. Tonight, staff's looking for approval to award contract for one of those projects. The project is the assessment of the waste water treatment plant. And the consultant that we will be recommending is True Consulting. Is there any particular questions on the award?
Councillor McCann, sorry.
Thank you, Daryl. When I was going through the information you provided here, there's a couple of things that I wanted to comment on. And one is that I appreciate the thought that's going into the generator, right? To determining the size and the capacity and the future load and having all of those considerations in part of the thinking that's going there. I appreciate that. I also know that for me, and I'm sure for everybody else, the word lagoon attached to sewage does not conjure up anything anyone here wants to ever have to experience. I just kind of know that for sure. And if I lived at the end of Fraser Street, I for sure would not want to have those two things going on in my neighborhood. So the way I read this, it sounds like we're doing our best to avoid that happening here. Am I reading that right? It's like that is one option, but that is not the preferred option, but we won't know until the people have come and done this work that you're asking to have approved. Am I reading that right?
Can I just jump in on this one? I think that the lagoon concept is only in play because when the Village of Lytton applied for this grant, we requested money for a lagoon. So then our contribution agreement says for a lagoon. So what we're intending to do is to complete this treatment plant capacity study, and included in it will be options and alternatives. And then we will go back to our funding partners and propose what the best solution for Lytton is.
Right. So there's been no decision made that it's going to be a lagoon system.
I'm just saying, we all know we don't want one if we can avoid
That's
it.
right.
That's all we're saying.
Yeah, I think that's clear. Yeah,
I
we
could
were on
probably
that
speak
track.
for a lot of people on that. Yeah, I think so.
Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. And I just want to reiterate, you certainly speak for Councillor Toss on that. And I see extreme economic development potential down in Hobo Hollow with the creek there. And it's already kind of a nice place for people to stop and have a sandwich. So I can't stress enough how the sewer treatment, when it's like the smell, would impact that. So yeah, I mean, if any of this work goes forward, it should be with that in mind. I totally second that. I have a question about under discussion. Current treatment data is failed based on reduced plant loading after 2021. So treatment objectives may be easier to meet. The lack of a back power supply means effluent is discharged to the Fraser River with little treatment. What does that mean?
Okay, so yeah, what that means is that there's a sequence of screening and filtering. So in essence, right now we have a mechanical treatment plant, and it needs power to operate. But there is some just due to the flow, and there is some very basic filtering and screening that does occur. So that's why it was noted that it's not that there's no treatment. There is some treatment, but we lose the mechanical portion of the treatment process when the power is out.
But we're still under like provincial regulations and we're not polluting the Fraser, obviously. Even with
Well,
that.
you would actually have to have samples and testing at that point in time. I'd have to check with Public Works staff if we actually have any tests during a power failure. I don't think so. But yeah, it's likely that we would not meet permit requirements if the power is out.
And we'll be working towards some sort of mitigating strategy for that, I suppose. That's the power package thing.
That's the power yes, that's correct. That's the power
Okay.
backup. And just to back up a little bit, one of the things that we wanted to cover off in this study is looking at the history. There hasn't, and especially in the recent decades, there hasn't really been an assessment of what the best options are for the village. Considering that we have a mechanical treatment plant and we have trained staff that operate it, it generally functions very, very well. And there is a few things that we need to address in the short term, and that's going to be another project that we are going to be probably implementing shortly once we get the results of this study.
Are there any other questions or comments for?
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so Councillor Todd.
And then once we get the study and thank you, and we're now putting the whatever renovation or like fixing of the sewer treatment or upgrading, the funding for that is coming from where? CAO.
It's in the sewer grant. That's
So
why
that's
we
the
need to
5
get this
million?
study done, because we're required to do these improvements under that grant.
And can I clarify, that was the grant that was just announced?
That's
Before
correct.
Christmas.
The investing in community infrastructure projects, federal,
Right.
provincial, municipal.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding that?
No.
No. So we do have a two-part motion to put forward here. We would like to make that Councillor McCann and the seconder, Councillor Michelle. All those in favor? And carried. That's great. Daryl, thank you. It'd be wonderful to get that work going.
Yes, it will. Thank you.
Yeah. So we move on to item number 8, correspondence, and we had 2 pieces come in. One, a letter, or both for information. One, a letter from Minister Anderson in response to our visit with her at UBCM, and then another from the school district. So can we put those together as one motion, corporate officer? Or do you? Yeah. So a motion to receive the correspondence for information.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, and a seconder. Toss, and all those in favor. Carried. That brings us down to verbal reports. And so I'll go first. Our last regular meeting was on December the 9th. We had a special one after that. So it was just over a month ago that we met last, where we reported. And we're already into the first 2 weeks of the new year. And I would like to comment that I just can't believe how staff have just hit the ground running in these last 2 weeks. It's great. I did, everything slowed down after December the 9th, after that last meeting, as far as formal meetings and that sort of thing went. But highlights were the holiday events that I participated in on behalf of the village. So in the Christmas parade, I rode in the new village electric truck, which was kind of fun. And I just really, again, want to thank the organizers of that parade. The CPKC Christmas train, both Director Thorpe and I brought a welcome to the people there. And as well, the Lytton Food Bank had reached out to me before the train and asked if I would accept their donation from KCPC on the stage again this year, as I did last year, because they had no rep available to be on the stage. So I happily did that for them. New Year's Day, I enjoyed the potluck dinner here at the hall, our lunch with all of, many people came. It was a nice turnout. And yeah, and I guess the only thing for me to add would be that it's great to see the work continuing or ramping up, I guess, with the official community plan, gathering more input from residents, both in the village and other communities. And I know Carolyn mentioned the workbook. I went coffee here on Monday morning. We had some workbooks here that people took home with them. And I left about 6 of them on the table over here. And when I got here this morning, I noticed 2 were gone. I put a little sign saying, please pick one up, take it home, fill it in. So hopefully those people did that. Yeah. And what else? Oh, yes. And along with that, I sent out emails to all our local First Nation chiefs, asking them to share the OCP workbooks with their communities. And so we look forward to participation from everyone on that. 2026, as somebody said, farewell, goodbye to 2025, and let's look for really positive, good things coming in 2026 for us all. So I'm going to turn it now over to Councillor Toss for her report.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I don't have a lot to report. I wasn't at the last regular council meeting. I was on vacation. I want to also say that the parade was fantastic. The Christmas parade, very wet, and Mayor O'Connor was in the nice dry electric track. But yeah, it was a really great event, and even like for Delta, where I'm from, that would have been a great turnout.
Oh, yeah.
So for a town like ours, like it was crazy. It's bumper to bumper. Like there was floats through the whole town, good floats. People were so happy and enthusiastic, and pouring rain, and it was miserable. And it just, it's reassuring to see our communities like very much intact in that respect. I attended coffee with the mayor yesterday, and that was nice to get kind of back in to the groove a bit. And then just a reminder about the Chamber of Commerce AGM coming up next week on the 23rd of January. So pardon me, the 22nd at 4:30 p.m. here in the parish hall. What's that? Or are we doing it on February? Okay, so I missed the memo. Scratch that. The chamber will now be doing their AGM in February. And I know that also the gala has been bumped to March. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McCann.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. Because we're quick tonight, I got permission to talk about something a little bit different, but first I'll just quickly go through the summary of my activities in the last month. I attend coffee with the mayor each Monday in December and in January as well. I also, like the mayor, attended a number of holiday events, including the Christmas parade and the holiday train, just to name a couple. I particularly personally enjoyed the time at home with my family during the Christmas and New Year's break. And from my point of view, the snow was very welcome. I was happy to see it. Later in December, the WOAM report from Our Heart to Yours, and it looks like this, just in case anyone wants to see, was delivered to the mayor and council, as well as the councils for all regional bands. I'd like to take a few minutes of my reporting time tonight to highlight some of the key points of this document and encourage others to take the time to pick up a copy at the village office and to read it. Not just my colleagues at the table, but anybody who's interested. Kanakabar Indian Band was in charge of this project, and in his letter to readers, Chief Jordan Spink states, "This report serves as a testament to the trials faced by our community during the disasters that unfolded in the Lytton region from 2021 to 2024. The report was produced by the Kanakabar Indian Band's WOAM, calling all people, that's what WOAM means in Chine, project for the United Nations Declaration Act Implementation Secretariat at Justice Canada as part of bilateral community engagement on implementation of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act." That's a long bunch of words, boy. It took me I was involved in that committee for several years and I never really got all that. Nonetheless, that's the people who funded it and sponsored it. The project drew from experiences of community members following the fires and floods in 2021 and subsequent years to share stories and recommendations of disaster impacted people with federal policymakers. So the point was to say, this is what happened, this is how things happen. You need to know this so that you can change your policies. As a member of the WOAM team, it was a privilege for me to have the opportunity to work alongside the representatives of Kanaka and other communities during the research and compilation of this report. While many of the recommendations made have already been implemented, I believe that we can use this resource as we continue to build regional relationships to address emergencies that happen in the canyon. And I really do encourage everyone to. There's two primary focus stories that are told. In Houston's story is here and Chief Patrick's story is here. So you get two different perspectives from this story. And then looking at a lot of the focus in the work was for the people that stepped up to help the workers and the impact of the disaster and doing that work on them over the long term. So this really looks at the 4 years that we've been kind of recovering from all of that and what that's done to people and communities and positives and the negatives both. So just wanted to make sure people know about that. So thank you for the extra time.
Thank you. And so just a question, is that committee now?
As far as I know, we're done. Yeah, because this the report stuff produced that report.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Michelle
Nothing to report.
and Councillor Lightfoot.
Nothing to report other than snow on Christmas Eve is a beautiful thing. And the fact that it's all melted and gone away now is another beautiful thing.
That's right. Thank you. All right, so that brings us to the end of our regular meeting. We're going to be moving into closed meetings so that we can hold it. I missed one here. We have an item to be released from previous closed meeting, actually, and I'm going to read it out. Council. So the motion that I'm going to be releasing that came from closed meeting is that council approve enrolling the listed contract staff to the Village of Lytton's Association member program with Municipal Insurance Association of BC. And the first part of that is that council approve the extension of the contracts for the listed staff. So that we haven't released anything from closed meeting for a while. I apologize. So those things are two things that are released from closed meeting. Now we're going to be moving into closed meeting to discuss items under 91A, E, K, and 92BI. And so that I'm going to turn it back over to Corporate Officer Storchenko.
I just need a motion to move in.
We need a motion to move into close. I'm all over the place here. Councillor Michelle, seconded Councillor Lightfoot. All those in favor? Aye. Carried. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. So that concludes the public portion of the regular council meeting of January 13th, 2026. We ask that members of the public and staff exit the meeting as council proceeds to close. Thank you for joining us. And council, I invite you to take a short recess while we prepare the meeting for close. Thank you.